I don't know if I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
All right, good morning, good evening. We're going to call the regular Board of Education meeting for January to order. And I'll start with our resuscitation of the vision statement. Every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. For our written statements submitted for this meeting, a summary of the written registration submitted for this meeting are as follows. 22 in support of Ty Reynolds not being fired from his position at East High School. 7 in support of sign language interpreters being classified under the teacher unit in regards to emergency closures and snow days. 1 in support of MMSD funding goal 3 of the strategic framework at a level proportional to the district's Black student population and improving Black students' literacy rates via a 10% movement into higher achievement levels on the forward exam each year, and increasing composite ACT scores for Black students by 1 point each year, and increasing documented communication with Black families, and decreasing the level of within-school segregation throughout the district, and increasing the number and percentage of Black staff in instructional positions, and partnering with Blacks for Political and Social Action in Dane County and other committed stakeholders by participating in annual summits and other monitoring and engagement activities. This evening, we have 12 speakers who have registered in person and 5 who are online. And we will, is that correct, Jesse? And we'll start with our online speakers. For our online speakers, please remember the speaking time is 3 minutes. And so if you are not able to see a clock or hear a buzzer, I'll try to gently come on the microphone and remind you that your time has come to a close. Thank you.
Our first online speaker is Carla Oppenheimer.
Hi, good evening. My name is Carla Oppenheimer, and I'm an MTI representative and an English teacher.
Carla. Hold on 1 second.
Oop.
Okay, give it a try now.
Okay, can you hear me? Fabulous. All right, good evening. My name is Carla Oppenheimer, and I'm an MTI representative and an English teacher at East High School. And tonight, I'm devastated to report that MMSD has pushed out Ty Reynolds, a dedicated and beloved security assistant at East High, for attempting to verbally defend himself against transphobic harassment by a group of students while he was performing his job duties. Ty Reynolds loved his job as a school security assistant, and he was really, really good at it. At East, students' faces would light up when they saw Ty coming, and many students considered him their primary trusted adult at school. Ty was always hustling to clear a bathroom or a hallway or to get students to class. His presence makes East safer. Because Ty loved his job so much, he didn't want to make trouble. So when staff and students directed transphobic comments at him from almost his first day of employment, Ty reported it verbally to administration and tried to keep his head up. Ultimately, Ty ended up with multiple disciplinary incidents in his file that resulted from other people's targeting of him because he is trans. As a Black trans man, Ty Reynolds should have been viewed as the asset he is to our district, but instead his concerns were minimized. Ty chose to resign today rather than endure the pain and the uncertainty of fighting a termination, and I don't blame him. But to quote a sticker that I was recently given, "Queer educators are proof of queer futures." I'm heartbroken that Ty will no longer be available as a role model and a caring presence for East students. I'm also embarrassed for MMSD. If we want to be a district that attracts and retains high-quality staff like Ty, we have to take staff safety seriously. How can we possibly expect to keep our queer and trans youth safe if we can't do the same for queer and trans staff? Board members, here are a couple of things that you could possibly do to help. You could consider a board policy that would require training for all staff on when and how to file a Title IX complaint. You could push for information on Title IX to be posted in all workspaces. And I'm sure we will think of more, but it's still pretty fresh. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to Ty for his service, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Taylor Bailey.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Good evening, board. My name is Taylor Bailey. I also work at East High School, and I'm also a union rep and am trans and non-binary myself. When I first started at East a couple of years ago, I felt encouraged to live my authentic self. I got to use the pronouns that I wanted to use, and I felt like I had a really strong community at my school onto which I could build. However, my little bubble has burst. My trans colleague, Ty Reynolds, was forced out of his job today. He's worked at the district for over 5 years, and as Carla said, he makes a huge effort to support the students in any way he can. There are some students who have known him since they were in middle school, and those types of connections cannot be undervalued. He was asked to resign because some people at our school decided that he was a threat. As a Black trans person, he exists at a vulnerable intersection of identities, and our admin and district did not do enough to make sure that he felt safe and supported at work. Between overhearing colleagues trade transphobic remarks to one white colleague claiming that they felt unsafe in his presence, Ty has been let down by his supervisors because his concerns were not taken seriously. Most recently, a group of students at East decided to start harassing Ty. They misgendered him, threatened him violence, and generally would say transphobic things whenever they could. This came to a head in November. Ty was asked to clear a bathroom of a group of students, and it happened to be those students who had been harassing him. One student in particular became aggressive towards Ty and ended up chasing him into a principal's office while threatening him, and another staff member had to physically hold the door shut to keep him safe. Ty was clearly traumatized by this, but his principal, his direct supervisor, anybody who's in charge of his job did not check in with him, not even to get his side of the story. This incident and subsequent refusal to hear Ty's version of events has resulted in Ty being forced to resign. I am so disappointed in the lack of compassion for Ty by those in charge after this traumatic incident. Perhaps admin and district folks should remember that schools are traumatizing for students and staff, and that by neglecting to see things from Ty's point of view, we continue to uphold the systems that allow racism, transphobia, xenophobia, and others to occur. I am basically here to ask y'all, non-trans folk, to do better. Trans people are constantly under attack from all sides, and MMSD is setting a dangerous precedent by choosing to fail its trans employees. What's next? Do we allow certain parents to force us to out students unnecessarily? Do we allow people in our community to spout transphobic rhetoric in the name of free speech? Will you tell me, a trans person, what I can or cannot share with my students about my life and my identity? No. Let's set an example for the rest of the state that shows we are a safe place for trans and queer people to learn, to work, and to grow. I don't have a specific policy change in mind, but I know that there are other people out there with excellent ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jeff Kunkel.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Great.
Yes, we
Hi,
can
my
hear
name
you.
is Jeff Kunkel. I'm an English teacher at East High School and an MTI building rep. And I am here to speak to you in support of Ty Reynolds and to express my sincere disappointment at his dismissal. I've had the opportunity to work with Ty a lot, and I'll echo everything that my colleagues Carla and Taylor have said. Ty is a extremely hardworking, extremely positive presence in the hallway. I know that if I had a problem in my classroom and I had to get a behavior response team to respond, I was always happy to see Ty at my door. He was unfailingly positive, unfailingly empathetic with the students, worked hard to establish relationships. His loss will be felt. It will be felt. I was also able to work with, as a building rep, work with Ty around some of the concerns he had about his safety that were expressed by Taylor and Carla. And I'm very disappointed that there wasn't a more robust, creative, and empathetic response to Ty's concerns. I think I think it sends a bad message. It's a chilling effect to the rest of the staff about their own sense of safety and the morale about whether or not their concerns will be heard and acted upon. Finally, I think I'm very disappointed that we've lost a staff member of color. I think that is given the trends nationally and locally, that's just a blow to representation in our building among educators. I think it's also a loss of a role model for a lot of our students. So I really hope that there's a path forward to have Ty to be reinstated in some capacity at the district. And I know that I will feel less safe and feel the sting of a loss of a valued colleague with his absence. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Stedman Windsor Engnall.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm a student at East High School. I'm a senior. And though I didn't have as strong of a bond with Ty as I know a lot of my two peers do, he did genuinely have an effect on me in the halls. With my previous experiences of security guards, they have always felt like some otherworldly figure, almost akin, pardon me, almost like a police officer or someone of much higher power, just there to enforce things upon me. Ty, however, is the only security guard I've met that did their job in an effective and in an effective way, and in a way that benefits the students. I think there was disgusting negligence with the case of Ty. And as I'm hearing more from the other speakers here tonight, I'm appalled. I don't have any solutions in mind. I think several other people stated good ones, changing policies or reinstating Ty in some way. As a final remark, I think Ty was very cool. And I saw him doing his job consistently and effectively. And he genuinely made me feel safer in the halls. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final online speaker is Amanda Forshee.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
So good evening, members of the school board and Madison community or MMSD community. My name is Amanda Forshee. I am a teacher at East High School. My pronouns are she and they, and I'm here speaking in support of Ty Reynolds. Ty, to echo what all of our previous speakers have said, Ty has been a cherished and integral part of our community at East for years. I really couldn't use if I tried to express how incredible of a person he is to work with, I'd be here all day. But everyone here deserves to know how valued he is, how respected and loved he is, as well as the injustices that he faced. Because when I think of who lives out East High School's equity vision and who lives out the vision for MMSD, I think of Ty Reynolds. Every day, he ensured that everyone he spoke with, every student he spoke with, was welcomed and supported at East High School. He built incredible relationships with students. I worked with him really closely last year because of the amount of students that I had in class who knew him well and cared about him. He checked in nearly every day with me and the students in my class to make sure that I felt supported as another trans staff member, to make sure that my students were focused and engaged in their learning. And his consistent positive presence in my classroom was hugely beneficial for all of us. And especially as someone who was new to East last year, I valued his hard work and his kindness immeasurably. And the fact that his hard work is what led to this current situation and his forced resignation is both depressing and unsurprising. As a queer trans person working at East, I know very well that our stories of the harassment and bigotry and prejudice that we face are often brushed off or dismissed or not given the value that they should be. We as staff work really hard to create an environment where students feel safe and connected to the community. And then while we do that, it is patently unjust to expect us not to stand up for ourselves when we do face that discrimination and harassment. Ty is a human being, first and foremost, and he deserves to work in a safe and supportive environment where his experiences are taken seriously and respected. And now that he's no longer working at East, it is going to be significantly harder for all of us to create that safe and connected learning environment for both students and staff. Because when we, as marginalized staff members, don't feel safe, it is harder for us to create the kind of school and community described in MMSD's vision statement. I fully and unequivocally support Ty Reynolds, and Ty, thank you for everything that you've done for the students at East, for like us at colleagues, all that you have done within our community. I can't thank you enough. As far as policy recommendations, I will echo what our previous speakers and my colleagues have recommended. Please listen to your marginalized staff, particularly your staff members of color and your queer and trans staff. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you to our online speakers. We're gonna move to our in-person speakers. Just as a reminder, when you come forward for speaking, there's a clock up here that will give you your 3 minutes. When you're at the podium, you'll also see a green light, and the green light will turn to yellow. And when you see the yellow light, that means you got about 30 seconds left before the 3 minutes. If you still need to finish a closing thought, and the buzzer kind of goes off, I'll just start a little clock on my phone and give you about 30 seconds to wrap up. And so we appreciate in advance you making your remarks within the given time frame. All right, so our first speaker is Jennifer Dorrell, and then on deck after Jennifer is another Jennifer Krauser, I think it is.
Okay. Hi, I'm a reading interventionist at Kennedy School. Thank you for hearing and responding to the Kennedy community's comments at the December meeting. Longer-term vacancies are less common, and we have seen and felt more support from district staff. The frequency of pulling internal staff for last-minute subbing has decreased, although I did have to sub today in 5th grade and did not get to work with my reading intervention students. And then one off-topic thank you. I appreciate snow days being called proactively the evening before, so much less stressful. I know it's not always possible to do that, but it's appreciated. Tonight, I'm here to ask you to think about our district's biggest needs as you plan for next year. Student-centered allocation is my union's priority, and I agree. But I encourage you to go further and focus on vulnerable student-centered allocation. We can prevent academic and behavioral struggles by putting more resources in schools with high TEP populations and other challenges. Currently, Kennedy has 46 TEP students, 1 to 2 in every classroom. Smaller classes help us address needs and nurture children who are living rough lives. Can we allocate generously in schools with more transient populations, anticipating now that those schools will enroll more students at the beginning of the school year? This would prevent the stress of August hiring and all the logistics that go with that. Can we also monitor low income and homeless shelter construction in Madison and ensure that extra staff are in place before, not after, those units are filled? Second, I think we need to acknowledge the role that trauma is playing in our district and plan for that. We can anticipate and prepare at least for some traumatic community events. An example, an arrest will be made at some point in the October killing of the 14-year-old East High School student, forcing some of our families to relive a very traumatic event. Does our district have a plan for that day? Consider finding a way to track trauma in our schools, maybe hiring a floating mental health professional in the district who can spend a month or 2 in any MMSD school when needed. Also, consider establishing a contract now with an outside provider to provide long-term grief counseling in any school that may experience the death of a student. Third, we urgently need effective tools to help our many students who need support in learning to regulate themselves and interact successfully with peers. We have so many 4th and 5th graders who are still learning basic interpersonal and self-regulation skills that would normally have been learned in earlier grades. Can we commit to lowering class sizes in grades that were most impacted by COVID and virtual learning? For next year, I hope that social worker allocation can expand district-wide. I also think that completing the BEP update and rolling it out as soon as possible is very important. I think it would be helpful to create a training course on the new BEP and require every MMSD staff person, from superintendent to custodian, to complete it yearly. Last, parenting support. I've had parents say to me, I don't know how to help my child behave at school. Can we offer more robust parenting support? Perhaps MMSD could sponsor cohorts of interested parents to attend Love and Logic courses or something similar. The way to equitable schools is through our deep commitment. Now, workbook season is when you show us your deep commitment. Thank you.
After Jennifer Krauser, is it Krauser? Okay,
Thank you.
will be Andrea Missarelli.
My name is Jennifer Krauser. I have one child in Lincoln Elementary School's 4K and one child in 1st grade at Midvale. And today I'm addressing the board for 2 negative bus experiences that my child endured or due to overcrowding and lack of supervision on the schools in the bus, sorry. First, congratulations on being ranked 10th in the US for the state school system, according to Cheat Simple reported in the Milwaukee Journal. With this ranking, I'm kind of surprised by what happened to my child on the bus with such great ranking overall. In October 2023, my 1st grader came home with a black eye. He said he got hit several times, even though he asked the kid to stop on the bus. After representatives from the first student in Midvale Elementary reviewed the video, they talked to both students about appropriate behavior, and it was determined that it was just plain gone wrong. The Midvale principal says the type of altercation happens frequently on the buses because the kids are packed 3 to a seat, and when the bus moves, they accidentally knock each other and it's misunderstood. Then in December 2023, my son couldn't sit with his regular friends and had to sit with a new kid. The kid had never ridden on a bus before. The kid teased him, called him a girl, proceeded to hit him and play with his genitals. There was even a kid on the bus who tried to intervene to stop, but my kid felt trapped and helpless. He is fine now. I'm not. As parents, we were comforted because the school and first student responded very quickly to the incident, to both children, to care about both the children in the incident. But this again could have been avoided if there was another adult dedicated to watch the children and not just the safety of the driving of the bus. This could have been very much avoided. We have an excellent bus driver, but he was unaware of both incidences. And I'm not faulting him at all. He cares about each and every kid, but it's hard to drive a bus with 50+ elementary schools, kids, including 4Kers and kindergartners that have never ridden a bus before. According to our SEO, this is a very common happenings on our bus systems for elementary school kids, Midvale, Lincoln. Thoreau has also reported that they have a school bus that has over 90 children on one bus route. Kennedy has also reported issues on buses in this manner. So I'm here today to ask the school board to increase some awareness about this issue. Some of your board members are already aware of the situation, and hoping that the bus capacity could be revisited with first student and possibly additional staffing for those bus routes, especially for elementary. Thank you.
After Andrea will be Del Underbaki.
All right. Hi, I'm Andrea Missarelli. I'm a proud MMSD graduate, resident teacher, and MTI member. I'm speaking on the snow day pay in the handbook. Bob has already budgeted to pay all staff every day of the school. So when we have a snow day, the money is already accounted for. The money that is not used on paying hourly staff then ends up in the long term in Fund 10. These are our staff with the highest turnover rate year after year right now. Because of the turnover of the job, these employees don't have enough personal illness built up to use for the day because they are young and new hires. Snow and cold days happen around winter break, which are unpaid days for our hourly staff, and they can't work. It's already hard to pay the bills during that time of the year, let alone if they have snow days. So I show our new staff that they are valued, we care, and we want them to stay and continue to be a part of the MMSD family. So I encourage you to fix the handbook language so all staff are paid for all snow days and cold days. Thank you.
Thank you. After Dell, we'll have Jennifer, I believe it's Garibay.
Good evening. Tonight's agenda includes discussions about literacy and the special education plan. Currently, a disproportionate number of our students of color and students without developmental disabilities are prematurely being encouraged to accept high school diplomas without reading proficiency. Throughout his tenure, Governor Evers has called for educational leadership to tear down silos of disaggregated compliance and connect the dots of accountability towards a collective good. Wisconsin statutes state the purpose of free public education is to ensure the development of a productive workforce, the creation of an informed citizenry, and social mobility. Wisconsin Statute 118 specifically commissions individual school boards the responsibility for students achieving the ability to read, write, and spell. In 2014, the Federal Office of Special Education Programs published a results-driven accountability statement. States were allowed to choose a focus for RDA. Wisconsin chose literacy because of the high stakes challenge for the majority of students with disabilities in our state. In 2022, less than 10% of MMSD graduates identifying as Black and only 15% identifying as Hispanic accepted diplomas equipped with proficient levels of reading. Less than 5% of our students with disabilities exited with post-secondary transition plans supported by proficient reading skills. From 2021 to 2023, a 3-year aggregate of Wisconsin's ELL proficiency data reflects higher levels of proficiency for white students with disabilities than for Black students with IEPs. In 2022, MMSD PI25 accountability data showed 86% of identified students were students of color. 29% were students with disabilities. In 2023, your district decided to not apply for PI25 aid, absolving itself from any responsibility for annual reporting to the state superintendent. The proposed curriculum of the mandated financial literacy course will include forms and documents that will require proficient levels of literacy to read and understand. As part of her post-caucus speech, Ambassador Nikki Haley lamented that 31% of our nation's 8th graders can't read. Concerned citizens are connecting the dots and doing the math. In the state of Wisconsin, the trail of literacy breadcrumbs ultimately leads to you as school board members through our promotion and graduation policies. You share the responsibility for creating literacy reinforced pathways towards post-secondary success. Thank you.
All right, after Jennifer, we'll have Leslie Peterson.
Thank you to the board for this space tonight to give comment. I appreciate the discussions that have been had regarding the special education 3-year plan. I am Jennifer Garibay, a parent of 2 at Chavez Elementary. I'm in support of the special ed 3-year plan. First, I am a mom to an autistic kindergartner who has an IEP and a whole pit crew of support. And I'm a co-chair of the Special Education Advisory Council, SEAC. At SEAC, we hope to increase the involvement of parents with children with disabilities in district policy and decision-making. So here we are. While I wear these two hats, I will mainly speak to my support as a mom, and I encourage any family who might be interested to please join a SEAC meeting. This board has said that we can't kick the can down the road regarding this plan. The board discussion around the plan resonated with many of the discussions we've had over at SEAC. I was relieved to see the critical reception that this plan has had, and as a living document that it will continue to have if the board will vote for its approval today. This board has also expressed that this plan simply cannot house everything, and that it's a balance between real work, day-to-day implementation, core values, and beliefs. Ultimately, parents like myself like to see a plan like this to help guide the conversation when planning the individualized support that our children and their friends will thrive on. My biggest concern was how this plan will support those working directly with kids like my son. His team at Chavez works hard to keep him safe and support his successes. In adopting this plan, I ask that the needs of specialized staff are highly prioritized to be able to support the growth and development of our special ed kids. Let's fill their cups so that they can do the work that they are inspired and trained to do. I am my son's biggest advocate in special ed, and as a parent to a child of color, we also learn that implicit bias follows us, especially here as well. The data is clear that we've got some serious issues that require strategizing and evaluation on how to reduce the disproportionality in special ed. It's going to take collaboration with families and resources, such as the anti-racist IEP criteria, whose goals are to uplift strength-based IEPs and address disproportionality head-on. That will foster the type of growth, development, and to support this plan. I imagine you all have your votes ready on this topic. I hope that the plan will move forward and will further support our district's vision to make sure that every school is a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate ready for college, career, and community. Thank you.
After Leslie, we'll have CJ Rouse.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. I'm here tonight to thank everyone at MMSD for a wonderful 11 years and the opportunity to serve our youth. I retired early last June, closing a 28-year teaching career that included working at 6 institutions of post-secondary education, 3 public school districts, and private institutions in Mexico and Guatemala. I'm profoundly grateful to have received my TERF benefits a year early. And while I would have liked to have worked for several more years, retirement does have its benefits. However, while I'm doing well, I'm very worried about my former colleagues working in unsustainable jobs and unhealthy learning environments. We need restorative justice, culturally relevant and trauma-informed practices in place for everyone. These practices are part of the mission of MMSD, yet are not often utilized for staff. We need more support staff. We need more counselors. But mostly we need more compassion and understanding, especially if we are in positions where we are doing the heavy lifting, such as classroom, bilingual, specialty, or cross-categorical teacher. It is imperative to move leadership away from dehumanizing perfection and towards humanizing practice. We should foster mindfulness, joy, and purpose for our educators, as we are expected to do for our scholars. We must provide our educators with tools that encourage their growth, support their humanity, and allow them to develop their practice. There is a pattern of educators having to change schools and districts, going out on FMLA leave for mental health or other medical reasons, retiring early, or otherwise vacating MMSD because there is little accountability and few restorative practices. I urge you to look for these for these patterns to better understand the dilemmas facing your educators today. The inability to value educators' leadership and their distinct talents while engaging in punitive practices robs our district of institutional wisdom, culturally relevant experience, and the opportunity for collective growth and healing. We need to build up relationships of goodwill and harmony, not dole out punishments based on hearsay and innuendo. Our systems should be rooted in love, compassion, and the uplifting of people's spirits. And so I'll leave you with my favorite passage from Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So much depends on the lighting of a fire, so neatly laid out on the ground, cold ground, and circled round by stones. A platform of dry maple kindling, a floor of fine twiglets snapped from the underside of a fir, a nest of shredded bark, ready for the coal, over which broken pine branches are balanced to draw the flame upward. Plenty of fuel, plenty of oxygen. All of the elements are in place. But without the spark, it is only a pile of dead sticks. So much depends on the spark. Your educators are your spark. Please do everything possible to help them become the best versions of themselves in order to best guide our youth. Thank you.
Thank you. CJ, and then after CJ, we have Michelle, Urshan. Okay.
Hello, and thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm a union rep and a first-year SEA over at LVM Elementary School. I'm still brand new and very excited to be here, but I wanted to speak about something that was a little bit challenging for not only my experience, but my coworkers as I get to talk to them throughout this year. And that's the lack of pay during cold weather and inclement weather. It already comes at a hard time as many of us are not paid during that break. And we know that, and our staff and our admin work very hard to open up opportunities for training and other options to get paid during that time. But ultimately, we're not paid, and we're not paid a lot to begin with. So it's already challenging to do the work that we do in this capacity. So I would hope that as you're developing this new handbook, that you can afford not only some consistency, but something that can help make already an uncomfortable job a little bit more comfortable, as we're already nervous as whether or not our school is going to be canceled the next day, or if negative 35 wind chill is cold enough to cancel school. So having a little bit of consistency and knowing that at least we'll get paid during that time will be helpful, as ultimately we want to do what's safest for our students and our community members, which include us. So thank you. Have a good night.
All right, Michelle's coming up, and after Michelle, we have Mars Subola.
Hello, my name is Michelle Urshan, and I have worked as an SCA in MMSD for 15 years. First of all, I'd like to extend heartfelt gratitude to you during this School Board Appreciation Month. Thank you for all that you do for the good of others. As a member of MTI's educational support professionals, my coworkers and I are immensely grateful for the board's support to improve the pay for hourly employees who are critical to the operation of our schools and make sure our students get the help and support they need. I'm here tonight to ask for your support in updating the district's policy for hourly employees when school is canceled due to weather or other health and safety reasons. Although our pay has improved, and we appreciate that, the cost of living in Madison continues to increase substantially, and many of us hourly paid employees in the MMSD family have second jobs to make ends meet. Others are single mothers who are low on sick days or who have chronic health conditions. Most educational assistants and SEAs do not have 40 hours a week, and there are unpaid breaks during the holidays. Unexpectedly losing a day's pay is difficult. The MMSD policy put into effect recently provides up to 2 days of pay for cancellation days. After that, we can either use a sick day or go without pay. Last year, MMSD canceled 4 days. We are currently at 2 days this year, meaning any additional snow days will be on us, and some of our MMSD family will not be paid due to being out of sick days. We used to have the option of making up the hours to avoid this, and the handbook still says that we do, but last year that was not allowed. All salaried staff are paid any time that school is canceled, including administrators who make the decisions to call the day. All MMSD employees should be treated equally. We should not be penalized simply because we are hourly workers. We do not have vacation time, and as you know, canceled days are no vacation. I hope that you will consider a policy revision that ensures hourly staff do not lose pay when school is canceled. This pay is already budgeted for. It does not have an economic impact on the budget. It is already difficult to fill many of these positions, and anything the district can do to elevate these jobs should be considered an investment in its staff and in the students who we serve. Let's hope we have no more days canceled this year, because your hourly employees in our MMSD family can't afford it. Thank you.
Okay, we have Mars Subola coming up, and then after that is Kaylee Hickey or Heike.
Icky, yeah. Hi, my name is Marsabola. I've got 3 of my students with me who have known Ty for six years now. Like I said, my name is Marsabola. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a queer and trans non-binary English teacher at East High. I'm here to talk about my friend Ty. Ty Reynolds, pardon me. Ty Reynolds has been with MMSD for about 5 years, but at East the last year and a half. In that time, Ty has become widely beloved by students and staff alike. I wish that I had the words to properly describe to you how students light up when they see Ty. Our wandering scholars go to class only because Ty asks them to. Our students who struggle with relationships or work or peers or home life or whatever it may be go to Ty for guidance, and they trust his guidance implicitly. Our students see Ty as their family, their most trusted person in the entire building, if not the entire planet. Ty is the reason that many students come to school, period. He sees them for who they are and he accepts them. He is the safety that they need in their school, both in the literal job description, but also in his ability to see them and accept them for who they are. Ty is the type of person to give any student or any person his last scrap of food, his coat, or the money from his wallet if it meant that that student wouldn't have to go without. Over the last year and a half, unfortunately, Ty has also been the target of many instances of transphobic and racist aggressions. Ty has reported these to the correct people numerous times, and every single time, nothing was done. Ty doesn't feel safe, respected, or protected in his workplace. At any moment, he could have left, but the thing that stopped him every time from leaving were the kids who needed him, the kids who called him their school dad, the kids who would otherwise be truant. When Ty reported these things, like I said, nothing would ever come of it, or if it did, it would be made worse. He would be made to look like the aggressor. He would be punished. He would have to miss days of work, unpaid. He would have to go to trainings. He would have to be told that he needed to be the one to be the bigger guy and walk past the person who was making the transphobic comments. I was there in the meeting when the district investigator tried putting words in Ty's mouth and then found him to be the guilty one and then punished him. Most recently, Ty was forced into resignation, as in today at 3 o'clock, because he had the audacity to stand up for himself. He won't go quietly. I won't be quiet. I refuse to let Ty's hard work, love, dedication to our community go out so disrespectfully. Ty is my friend. He is family for so many students, and it breaks my heart that I won't see him tomorrow morning. Thank you.
After Kaylee, we'll have Martha come up.
Hello, my name is Kaylee Hickey, and I'm also an educator at East High School. Today, Ty Reynolds, one of the security assistants at East, was unfairly forced into resignation. I'm here today to speak to the overwhelming positive impact that Ty Reynolds has had on the East community at large, both on my own behalf as a staff member and on behalf of a number of students that could not be here tonight. If I had to name one adult at East that has the most positive relationships with the greatest numbers of students, it would not be a hard decision. I wouldn't even really have to think about it. The answer is Ty. He goes above and beyond every day to support students both inside and outside the classroom, making sure they get to where they need to be, have what they need to be successful, whether that is a sympathetic ear, a chance to eat, or an impassioned pep talk. He is unfailingly kind, going out of his way to make sure students know they are respected and cared for, even while he holds them accountable. I see Ty every morning as he walks a number of my students to class to ensure they arrive on time. Every morning, he encourages them to do their best and make good choices, and they do more often than not, because they know that he wants nothing at all except for the very best for them. When they heard today that he was being forced out of his job, a number of students shared how Ty's presence at East has impacted them personally, some submitting their own comments online and a few asking me to share theirs on their behalf. The following statements are from them. Quote, if someone stands up for themselves and verbally protects themselves from someone, is that not the right thing? Because that's exactly what Ty did. Ty isn't a person to provoke someone or have a bad bond with anyone. It's always been the opposite. Ty has always helped us students as a staff member of East to always get us to class and encourage us to do our best. Ty will stay in your class if you need the help and will make sure you get the help you need. Ty has built so many relationships with plenty of students, and everyone loves the bond that has been created with him. For me, Ty has helped me get into barbering that I wanted, and that will help me with my future career. Ty has always pushed me to get to my classes and would always walk me to them, making sure I get there and actually be marked present. Ty knows how to solve problems with students when there are miscommunications, when they argue, and Ty helps one or the other to keep calm and walk away from the situation. I've seen how much he does for the security team at East High School and how it's always him who makes the school feel welcoming. As soon as I come into the building, he always greets me and gives me a little conversation. If I were to leave the building, he always tells me to be safe. He shows that he cares for us students at East. It's hard to hear that he has to go through something like this when nothing wrong was done. Second student, I don't feel as if today should have been Ty's last day. Ty has been a very helpful resource to me since I moved to Madison. He's never ever failed to be there for me, ever. He's never let me down. He's always created a safe, calming, and reassuring environment for me and everybody he's been around. He always makes sure I am fed, always makes sure I am good, and makes sure I am not stranded. East just won't be the same without him. He is very loved at East. Student 3. If it wasn't for Ty, I would have been skipping and failing classes this year and last year. He's the only security guard I have respect for. He's good with everyone and everyone likes him. He gets people to actually go to class and get work done. As an MMSD graduate and staff member, I truly want to believe the best about our district because I know intimately how good we can be. I want to believe that MMSD administration means what they say when they claim that, quote, schools and departments will work to establish and maintain work environments that address the physical and social emotional health of staff. And I think that we want that to be true. But in this case, we have fallen woefully short. Despite his overwhelming positive impact on school culture at East, Ty's social emotional health was disregarded time and time again, and I do not believe we would be right here right now, having lost an integral part of our school community if he had been supported in the way that he should have been. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Martha Saravo coming up, and then our last speaker will be Nat Long. Martha.
Good evening, board members. My name is Martha Saravo. and I'm here on behalf of Mountain Moms and Disability Advocates. I'm here this evening to support the 2023-26 Special Education Plan, to acknowledge and appreciate certain key points that we have initially identified. First, the Special Education Service Delivery Resource Guide. That's brand new. That was something that Mantle Mamas had envisioned early on. One of our local teachers had a basic template that was already put together. They connected with us. We connected them to student services, and now we have it. That's amazing. The SMART goals that are identified, we see as crucial to student success and addressing systemic deficiencies, whether they've been chronic or COVID related. We've noticed multiple references to the universal design for learning, and I hope that it's expected of all of our staff, not just put upon our special education teachers and our SEAs. I personally hope to see specials in music and our art programs embody universal programming as well, because self-discovery and self-love through creative spaces can be essential in what can be a very stressful place at times. The part 2 that you're going to go through that focuses on central office supports to schools is equally important. Communication, creativity, and problem solving are within every family and staff interaction that I have as a peer parent advocate. Let alone, we're in 2023, and I'm not even sure if we have an expectation in having more CC teachers so that we have adaptability across the board when it comes to our advanced learners and our special education. I believe in being proactive in our nature. Last, the targeted supports should also feel like an open door to ask for more. We should always be looking to an individualized approach and better outcomes. Mantle Mama supports this work, and we are here to see it through. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker, I believe, Nat Long.
Okay, I might not be as eloquent as everyone else, but I'm going to try my best. Okay. Hello and good evening. My name's Nat. My pronouns are they, them, and he, him, and I'm a special ed teacher at East High School. I'm speaking tonight because one of my colleagues, Ty Reynolds, was unfairly pushed to resignation from his position at East. Ty was not only an exceptional member of the team, but is an incredible asset to the East community. This is my first year working for the district, and as a trans employee, having others who share my experience, affirm students, and contribute to a positive school community is essential. Ty not only respects students, fellow educators, and the entire community at large, but works to go beyond and form relationships with the kids he serves. Ty is an incredible coworker in person and has unfortunately been the subject of lots of anti-trans harassment at East High School. As a trans educator who's been through similar experiences, this is something that we are used to, and we should not have to be. This is just yet another example of LGBTQ staff trying to fight for better treatment, but continuing to have to jump through hoops just to be respected. Ty made me feel so welcome as a first-year staff member. He invited me out, collaborated directly with me on student behavior, and has defended my identity to several parents and families who have called him to make sure to let me know that I was valued. As a special ed teacher, many of my students interacted with Ty on a daily basis. I have frequently seen him talking, laughing, and de-escalating with students with respect for the student at the forefront. I want to give Ty my utmost respect for speaking up and defending himself against the treatment he has been enduring. So often, we're expected to be silent and not say anything, but that sets the wrong precedent not only for our fellow colleagues, but most importantly for our students. What are we teaching them if standing up for ourselves is punished? As a young educator in my first year in the district and my first year teaching in general, I am beyond disappointed and disheartened. Losing a staff member who's a safe space for so many of our students is beyond devastating. I hope that he can be reinstated in some meaningful way so that his great work can continue. And I hope that you all know that his resignation is not him leaving, but him being forcefully pushed out. Please do better. Thanks.
Thank you to tonight's speakers. We appreciate you coming out and sharing your thoughts with us. I'm gonna move us into some of the other agenda items that we have tonight. First, with the approval of the minutes. I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meeting dated December 18th, 2023.
Second, Maya.
Are there any discussion on the minutes or corrections? All right. Megan, I see that you are our student advisory member tonight, right? All right. Your advisory vote.
I approve.
All right. All those in favor, aye. All right, I believe that's 6 of us.
I'm gonna say aye.
All right, thank you, Ollie.
My
7
bad.
and no opposed. Thank you. We will now move into board president announcements and reports. I'm going to have Vice President Pearson kick us off with celebrations of students.
Celebrating our students. Congratulations to the 104 MMSD scholars who received the 224 MLK Outstanding Young Persons Award from the Urban League of Greater Madison. In addition to the Outstanding Young Persons Award, MMSD high school seniors received scholarships to support post-secondary education plans. The names of all of these outstanding students will be shared in this Friday's district-wide family newsletter, which will be available on the MMSD website. For the first time in 7 years, a student athlete from Memorial Boys basketball team was nominated for the McDonald's All-American Game Team, a nationwide all-star exhibition basketball game. Sam Mickelson is one of only 2 athletes nominated from Wisconsin for the team. And in other athletic news, East High School's wrestling team won the City Dual Championship undefeated against all Madison schools. The school's team has grown significantly in recent years, from a dozen or so students competing each year up to more than 60 Go Per Golders.
And celebrating our staff, Megan Heindel, who is an MMSD Library Services Coordinator, and Madeline Olson, also a Library Media Technology Specialist at LAPM, were members of the 2024 Charlotte Zolotow Award Committee. The award is given for outstanding writing in a picture book for young children published in the United States or Canada. The 5-person committee read and evaluated hundreds of newly published picture books and met virtually in the fall and early winter in the evenings. Thank you, Megan and Madeline, for continuing to prioritize literacy. And lastly, we have a few superintendent search updates. We are pleased to share that we have narrowed our search for superintendent to 3 finalists. The news was shared with staff, families, and our local students and local media outlets earlier this afternoon. There was significant interest in the position with nearly 60 applicants received, and finalists include Mohammed Chowdhury, an accomplished strategy and systems leader and former state superintendent of schools at the Maryland State Department of Education, Dr. Joe Gothard, current superintendent of St. Paul Public Schools in St. Paul, Minnesota, who is also a Madison native and former administrator, and Dr. Yvonne Stokes, a student-centered, results-driven career educator who most recently served as superintendent at Hamilton Southeastern Schools in Indiana. The MMSD Board of Education is extremely pleased with the pool of candidates for this position. They each reflect the diverse needs of our community and the competencies that we agreed upon in November. Our 3 finalists have exceeded our expectations, and we're excited for the community to meet them next week when we live stream 2 interview panels on February 6th. In the meantime, we invite our community to visit the MMSD website, mmsd.org/superintendent search. That's all one word. To learn more about each candidate, read their bios, and watch their introductory videos. And with that being said, I will now turn it over to our superintendent, Lisa Quivstad, for your superintendent celebrations and updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Board President Nichols and board members.
And I'd also like to thank our public speakers for sharing their comments with us this evening. We truly value hearing from you and appreciate your thoughts. So kids first, it's important that we see and hear what our purpose is here in MMSD. We honor the assets our kids bring, and what's more, we have the privilege and responsibility to give our students opportunities to learn and grow and create spaces where they can be the best they can be. So tonight, I am pleased to celebrate one of our students, as well as a group of teachers and staff who truly embody kids first. Thank you, Jesse. So I had the privilege of attending the 43rd annual State of Wisconsin Tribute and Ceremony honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. earlier this month. It was a beautiful event. I know many of you were also there. The Capitol was filled with emotion, and it offered everyone a great reminder of the importance of ensuring our students receive the education they all deserve. But most of all, it was inspiring. And in the words of the keynote speaker, Dr. Marcus Allen, the time is not one day, but now. And one of those inspirational moments was given by one of our very own students, Alea McMillan, who read an excerpt of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. Alea is 11 years old and exceedingly well-spoken. She is a student at Sandburg Elementary. And as we heard on January 15th, she enjoys going to school, eating the meals her dad cooks, singing in choir, reading crime stories, and one day hopes to be a police officer. Alea gave a remarkable and powerful reading, showing great public speaking skills and amazing voice. Please give a round of applause as we ask Alea McMillan to come to the stage and receive her Superintendent Recognition of Excellence certificate. Next, we want to highlight some of the incredible teaching and learning happening at La Follette High School. The English 2 team at La Follette is doing some incredible work around centering student voice and the experiences of students. The team used design thinking processes and created a way for students to demonstrate higher order thinking as well as presentation skills. The students conducted empathy interviews of various educational stakeholders, defined a problem, thought about solutions, and then conducted research to design a prototype solution. The culmination was their Reimagining Schools Idea Fair, and it empowered students to share and advocate for their solutions with people who have the power to actually implement them. So interestingly enough, the most common solution project involved a push for block scheduling at the high school level, as well as a need for more mental health supports, improved safety, and more real-world skills instruction. We have a brief video to share on the next slide showing exactly what happened at the Idea Fair.
That's why I feel like choice projects in a way could make more students be interested in school and make them have a reason to actually go.
Our students came up with design thinking projects around a problem that they've identified in our schools that they wanted to create a solution for.
I'm talking about how students are disengaged and they don't get out enough. Like they're glued to their cell phones and that's not good for people. So my solution is to fix our gardens and get students involved with it.
Are great in amazing ways.
Kids can have experience with gardening, which helps with healthy eating, reducing stress, and it's been shown that more green space means less depression.
And then also asking students what they already know allows teachers to not teach stuff that would bore students.
So they worked collaboratively and also independently to come up with these solutions, and then they're sharing them with people who actually have the power to make these changes in our community.
If you pay teachers more, then it can improve. It might improve with getting more teachers to schools that don't have as much funding.
What I've heard from these students is super empowering, whether it's financial literacy or the makeup of classes or empowering kids to be able to speak up or how it is that we support our teachers in our schools.
I learned about a 4-day school week could help on mental health. I learned about how having healthy food options that kids actually eat will actually improve energy and focus.
Actually getting involved in the conversation, they are learning a lot more than they would otherwise.
Empowering students to see themselves as like having a voice and having like the power to like make changes that they want to make in their community is why I do the work that I do.
This is a great opportunity for students to share their ideas and finally feel valued, finally have a voice in what they're doing, and for things to actually get changed.
Thank you, Jesse. La Follette's English 2 team includes Kate Schultz, the PLC leader, Taylor May Passow, Deirdre Jarecki, and Sam Guerrero. La Follette's library media specialist, Aaron Clark, as well as instructional coaches supported the project. So please give a round of applause to these amazing educators for La Follette's English 2 team, and come on up to get Superintendent's Recognition of Excellence certificate. We're hoping for some recommendations from that group, so keep us in the loop on that. I'd like to highlight next special commitment that we have as a district to literacy, and that is Read Your Heart Out. One of our highlights at a district level around literacy is this event, and we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Read Your Heart Out. This event was created by former MMSD educator Michelle Belnavis and co-founded by Andrel Davis, former MMSD educator. This event uplifts the importance of reading, togetherness, and family engagement. During the month of February, schools across MMSD will participate in the district's annual Read Your Heart Out event in celebration of National African American Parent Involvement Day. Family members, community members, and volunteers who identify as African American and Black read books, recite poetry, and connect with students through visual or oral storytelling in the classroom during the Read Your Heart Out celebration. To celebrate the 20th anniversary, our engagement team is planning a commemorative reception and district-wide kickoff on February 12th at Lincoln Elementary School, and we hope to see all of you there to join the event. Next slide. We want to celebrate our West High School pool. As a result of our 2020 facilities construction projects, this is finalized this year. It's open and in use. And while this pool resides at West, it is a community space. Swim meets, citywide swim invitations have been held at this beautiful place, and our community has full use through MSCR swim lessons. These facility improvements truly show how our Madison community is invested in public schools by supporting the 2020 referendum. And finally, I'd like to recognize, as we do during these reports, and celebrate a grant on the consent agenda. A huge thank you to REAP for funding $24,443 to implement the Youth Leaders in Food Justice program at Shabazz, East, and Capitol High School. In partnership with MMSD, we will receive a grant through the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the National Institute for Food and Agriculture. REAP will work with schools to connect social justice with experiential food justice learning, enhance culinary education with culturally relevant food learning, and incorporate information on healthy eating, local farming, and food activism into wellness courses. So thank you to REAP for your continued support of MMSD, students, staff, and families. So thank you, board members, for indulging us in this really wonderful update of keeping our kids first and celebrating some of the wonderful grown-ups that are working in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Love the update. All right, we're gonna keep on moving. So first, we're gonna have a report on items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on January 8th, 2024. And the chair of that work group is Ali Muldrow, who's pretty ill tonight, and so I'm gonna give her update. At that work group, there was an update on the MMSD early literacy plan aligned with Act 20. We discussed revisions and updates with the special education plan. And the next work group will be held on February 5th with a focus on our plan for English language learners and progress to date, as well as an update on the superintendent's wellness advisory. Next, we'll go to a report on items that proceeded through the operations work group held on January 22nd, and I'll pass that over to Board Member Castro.
Thank you so much. So we held our work group on January 22nd, where we commenced the 2024-2025 budget planning process. And we had a good conversation regarding the facilities condition assessment report and the long range facilities planning document. Next month, our operations work group will be held on, one moment. Our work group will be held on February 12th, where we will continue to talk about the long range facilities report and continue our budget planning process, specifically with respect to school staffing work group workbooks.
Thank you. We do have one action item that proceeded through the instruction work group. So I'm going to read the motion. I move that the Board of Education approve the 3-year special education plan as set forth in the materials prepared for the January 29th, 2024 regular meeting.
Second, Nikki Vandermeer.
All right, any discussion? Board Member Vandermeulen.
I appreciate Nancy's updates and the updates that she took. Although I was not at the meeting, I did, because I was ill, I did watch the tape on YouTube later. I could honestly say that we've made some significant changes, and I like that board input was put in. The only, the only thing I have to say, other than my only critique, is I'd like to have a higher percentage. I still think it's a little low on achieving our SMART goals. I'd like them a little higher, but that's a personal goal. That's not that may not, I tend to be a little over ambitious at times. So other than that, I'm proud to support it.
Thank you. I see Board Member Castro.
Thank you so much. I want to echo what Board Member Vanderbilt said about appreciating Nancy taking in our feedback. And I just want to give a comment that we really have to follow through with this, the staffing component of this and our budget decisions to make sure that we're fully funding or fully staffing these priorities.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands up. I guess I'd also like to provide some reflections that I feel like I'm really happy to see in tonight's revised plan that we have a much clearer set of focused, targeted strategies, as well as the foundational strategies to really help paint a clear picture of how we can achieve each of the goals. And so I also want to thank Dr. Mulfenter for a lot of her work to incorporate our feedback. And so I appreciate the revisions that were made in just a few weeks since that early January work group. And I also know, similar to what Board Member Castro, you were just saying, you know, the strength of this plan is really tied to how well we can hire and retain staff. And so it's my hope that as a board, as we approve the plan, that we're also staying as diligent and focused on any ways that we can support the hiring and retention of our cross-categorical teachers, our special education assistants, and our program support teachers, because they're the ones that make the plan work. But overall, really happy to see where it is, and I will be voting in support of the plan. All right. Well, if there's no Board Member Castro, do you have another comment? Okay.
Sorry, I just had no. I'm sorry. Thank you. I just had one question for the team in terms of this document is meant to meet the needs of the community. What are ways that we will continue to take in input and adjust where needed?
Board Member Castro, let me attempt to answer this for you. That's a great question. I know that Dr. Mulfenter has ongoing feedback groups that she responds to throughout the course of the year. She also has scheduled professional development and times to check in with both support staff and certified staff to ensure that what happens day to day is indeed following the tenets of the plan, and adjustments are made whenever needed.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Megan, your advisory. Oh, Board Member Muldrow?
Yeah, I just want to ask how our practices around restraint and seclusion will fit into this plan. This plan has a very clear commitment to anti-racism, and I'm just curious how restraint and seclusion will reflect that commitment, or how our practices around restraint and seclusion will reflect that commitment.
I know that as Nancy works with the team, as IEP teams convene, as school teams convene, and as the anti-racist IEP project continues to develop and spread to more schools, there is a definite intersection and commitment to best practice and to make sure that we are providing a least restrictive environment and free appropriate public education for students. We will continue to provide the board with data around this and disaggregated data looking at that intersectionality so that the board can continue to monitor that data as we implement the special education plan.
I want to thank you for your commitment to transparency. And I am really grateful that the board will have the opportunity to do that work with you.
Board Member Vandermeulen?
Just one more question, Lisa, I don't know if you know this. How many of are we still trying to get all of our staff trained in NVCI training, the nonviolent training? It's on seclusion.
I am going to have Assistant Superintendent Green come up and answer that. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Vandermeulen, for the question. And thank you, Superintendent Quista, for answering the other ones very well. Yes, we are working on training our staff both in the physicals and also in the verbal training for NVCI. We have two full-time staff people that are working to train as many staff as possible. There are certain members that are required first, and then we're working to ensure other individuals are trained as well. We have both in-person trainings, and then we also have online modules. We've also worked to ensure that our central office staff have gotten trained in NVCI as they are out supporting schools.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the update. Thank you.
All right, we already have the motion seconded and discussion looks like it's come to a close. So Megan, your advisory vote.
I approve.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Ali, did Ali's hand go up? Or not? We have 6. Okay, those opposed?
Yo, I'm sorry, Nichelle. I'm just like working in slow motion. I definitely support it. I'm voting for it. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's okay. It's okay. All right, so that passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, we had no action items that proceeded through the operations work group, so we will go to our consent agenda. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the January 29th, 2024 regular school board meeting. Exactly said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated, hereby subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second, Maya.
All right, are there any separations? Board Member Simkin.
10.12.
10.12. Okay. Board Member Castro.
10.21.
I'm sorry, 10.21.
21.
Okay, got it. All right, I don't see any other hands. Okay. So Megan, your advisory vote.
Approve.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Ali, do you want to vote on?
Aye. Yes,
All
I
right.
vote on the consent
I know,
agenda.
I know you're moving us. Thank you. That's 7-0. And then let me go to the separations. 10.12. Hold on. All right, I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $74,619 for the installation of a playground for the daycare at Capitol High by Gerber Leisure Products, funded by the fiscal year 24 Building Services operating budget.
Second.
All right, discussion?
So I separated this just because I had to recuse myself.
All right, thank you. Megan, your advice, was there any other discussion? All right, Megan, your advisory vote.
Approve.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's 6 and 1 recusal. All right, thank you, Board Member Simkin. All right, let's go to 10.21. HR transaction report. Okay, I move that the Board of Education approve the January 2024 Human Resources Transactions Report, item 1 through 10.
Second, Maya.
Board Member Castro?
Thank you. Yeah, so my main question is that last December in this meeting, we heard from some families and staff about Kennedy's school. And I'm wondering if you can help explain the systems in place that help support schools who are struggling in the moment, and ways that the board can help strengthen those systems.
Thank you for the question, Board Member Castro. What we have done in the past as schools, some of our schools at different points in time in the year need additional support, is we like to put together a comprehensive plan around staffing and system development for each school that involves multiple departments, as well as input from our Human Resources Department. I know that Jennifer Trendle is deploying analysts to work specifically with some of those schools to expedite the hiring process, particularly in some of those hard to fill areas and in some of those permanent positions. I know that I believe that we did provide the board with an update around some specific staffing plans in schools in early January. And we're happy to address those again or share more information as needed.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, Megan, your advisory vote.
Approve.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And Ali, do you want to give a voice vote?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That passes 7-0. All right, other reports to the board. The City County Schools Collaborative Committee. We met on January 10th, and we had a guest from Representative Samba Balde's office come in and talk to us about a new state bill that will be passed around driver's education. And it was basically for us to deepen our learning about how the Department of Transportation might develop new rules around this driver education funding. We also had guests, Renee Calloway from the city of Madison, and our own Dr. McRae, talk about pedestrian safety at school routes. And so one of the committee's priorities is around safe transportation for young people. So the meeting was very informative. We will be meeting again as a committee on February 14th. Moving to Megan, are you giving the Student Senate report?
Yes, I will be. So Student Senate met last week. We did meet virtually, just due to weather concerns. We went through our BOE report and we introduced applications for board rep and president for the 24-25 school year. As of right now, voting will take place May 21st to May 24th. We also had committee meetings. Our academic advancement committee reviewed the health education materials that they had pulled together from last year. Our student wellness committee determined their final projects, which will be focusing on nutrition with the help of Mr. Perkins. And our Education Equity Committee has continued their work on survey questions about AP African American Studies for later this year. We also had a guest speaker, Charlotte Nichols from the Civic Center, who came to talk to us about voter registration drives and how that would go this coming semester. In terms of our future agenda, we'll meet again on February 7th, which will be an outreach event with some guest speakers and more introductory What is Student Senate material. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Madison School and Community Recreation Advisory Committee. Blair Board Member Mosner Feltham.
Thank you, President Nichols. So in MSCR, winter programming is underway and MSCR is in full swing preparing for summer. MSCR offers a full suite of programming for all ages, many camps around the city, as well as the wraparound after school programs for our summer school programming, YRC and SHREC. In February, MSCR will be recruiting for summer staff. MSCR employs between 900 and 1,000 people seasonally, and those jobs are open to MMSD students and youth. Some of those jobs are available to students as young as 14, and many available to students 16 and over. And all of those jobs would start at $15 an hour.
Thank you. Policy Committee.
Yeah, so we worked on our process on policy and how board members will come up to request reviews of policy and how administrators and the community and such can request it. So we do have a slew of policies that we need to get in compliance with. And then we'll start working on the other policy suites. So that is the update.
Board Governance Committee. Board Member Simkin.
At the board retreat on this last Friday, we were able to engage in a facilitated conversation by the Sun Prairie Area School District Board President and Superintendent on board governance. The conversation was designed to lay the framework for moving forward with developing a structure for board governance. And we talked a lot about just the lessons learned as Sun Prairie has spent the last 10 years going through this process.
Thank you. All right, we are into other business. Monona Grove waiver. I move that the Board of Education authorize the district to request a waiver of the requirements for open enrollment to allow all Monona Grove students who are currently enrolled in Nuestro Mundo Charter School to continue attending Nuestro Mundo without being required to apply for open enrollment into the district.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Megan, your advisory vote?
Approve.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 All right, that passes 7-0. Thank you. All right. I move that the Board of Education authorize the district to request a waiver from DPI to implement a preference for the Southside Elementary School attendance area in the lottery process for Nuestro Mundo Charter School. Thank you. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Board Member Vandermeulen.
Yes, my question is, from the memo, it says that we already had approved the attendance areas. This just follow up what the board already voted on last month? Just wanted to make,
Yes,
yeah. Thank you, teacher.
you're welcome.
Perfect.
All right, any other discussion?
Nope.
All right, seeing none. Megan, your advisory vote.
Approve.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or Castro, are you on the approved?
That's an aye. Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, that passes 7-0. All right, I move that in regards to open enrollment applications for the 2024-25 school year, the district declares that no space is available in the LEAP, Neon, SBA, Primary Steps, Next Steps, Transition Academy, and Blue Lion Micro Schools, Sail West, Campus Connect, Lake Edge Program, Memorial Neutral Site Program, High School Intensive Intervention, Early Learning Sessions, Early Childhood Iterant Services, Madison Promise, Early College STEM, and Education Academy programs and open enrollment applicants will not be accepted into these programs. All
Second.
other special education and regular education programs, services, and grade levels will have no space limitations.
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Muldrow.
Discussion.
Yes, okay. Discussion, Board Member Vandermeulen.
Appreciate it. I vote against this every year. I know it is for our students. I just honestly think putting any caps on Leap Neon really can have a negative effect, especially on the open enrollment of students who may need it. That's the explanation for my reason to vote no. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, Vice President Pearson.
Just a quick question for some of the programs that are semester-long programs, and so students can come in and kind of leave out. Is the cap still there, or like how does that work?
All right, so first, I think to address Nikki's statement, it's important to note that it is not the district who are putting a limitation on some of these programs. Some of these programs you cannot open enroll in them because, for example, Madison Promise, you cannot open enroll into the district just to be a part of Madison Promise. So because of that, there are just limitations on the majority of the programs that you'll see on there. Now, for your question, sorry about that. It was if the student semester doesn't matter, they just cannot open enroll to the district just to be a part of that particular program.
All right. Seeing no other hands raised, Megan, your advisory vote.
Approve.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? One. All right, that passes 6-1. Thank you. All right, next, the Administrator Retirement Plan candidates. I move that the Board of Education, pursuant to the terms of the Administrator's Retirement Plan, which seeks to recognize the value of a long-term commitment to the MMSD, approve one application.
Second, Maya.
Any discussion? All right, Megan, your advisory.
Can I?
vote.
I'm
Oh,
sorry. Board President Nichols, can I ask what is the deadline for submitting to retire?
They said January 15th for administrators.
And there's only one?
Yes, their head nodding, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't remember was I calling about? Okay, all those, Megan, did I ask you for your advisory vote yet? Okay, Megan, your advisory vote.
Approve.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, notice of disallowance. I move that the Board of Education disallow a claim on behalf of the MMSD under Wisconsin State Statute Sections 893.80, alleging improper disposal of property by district personnel. Thank you. Any discussion? Megan, your advisory vote?
Approve.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 7-0. We have no old or new business for the meeting. I move to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second, Maya.
All those in favor? Thank you, Megan, for your advisory
Aye.
vote. Just hands up. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.